Welcome to Automation Ladies, the only podcast we know of where girls talk about industrial automation.
Hello. Welcome to Automation Ladies episode. I have no idea. We can get that figured out after the fact. But we're here with Dr. Elliot Hefling Jr. and we are excited to talk to him about humanoid robots and how he's bringing that to education in the U.S. But before that, we also have Courtney Fernandez, the other automation lady. Nikki Gonzalez is not going to join us on this particular episode, so we'll miss her. But yeah, if you want to give us a introduction to you, Dr. Heflin, that would be a good way for us to start, and then kind of tell us how you got where you are.
Okay, just to give you guys I guess a brief background, like Ali had mentioned, um, I started Reality Tech Academy about 10 years ago. And the reason I started the academy because I noticed I can guess say a gap. I noticed a gap in what our children were being provided far as STEM technology. And I ventured into humanoid robotics because, just to be candid, I want to separate myself away from the competition, and everyone else is just using the small Lego education blocks or some type of we can say robotics kit. And I thought it would be better to be able to give the students access to the real thing. The real thing that they actually will be doing once they leave to the work field or once they're introduced in the collegiate years to robotics. This is what they'll be doing. They won't be doing drag and drop blocks. So to me, it was a disservice, to be honest. So that's how it came about. And the real killer about it is I was reading a magazine, what sparked it all. I was reading the magazine, and the magazine has stated that America, US, was number 4 in the nation in robotics. And I was like, well, since my previous background was in track, I know that number 4 is never mentioned. So it kind of, kind of hit me kind of hard. So I was like, okay, well, let's do something about that. Let's be, I guess you could say, the catalyst of what's going on. Let's make this happen. And that's how it came about.
What got you interested in robotics or even STEM to begin with?
Okay, it happened a long time ago. It happened a long time ago. Um, I guess you could say when I first entered college. When I first entered college, in my, I guess you could say, ninth grade year, I was walking down the hall, just to be honest with you, walking down the hall, and I was being nosy and just leaned into a professor's class, and he had something up on the projector. And it was Google Maps before we even knew what Google Maps was. So they sent it to him as a prototype, to get his feedback or whatever. And I was like, what is that? And he was like, oh, step in for a second. And he asked me, he said, what's your address? And I told him my address, and he pulled my block up. I said, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. I said, do not leave me out the loop. So ever since then, I've been crazy about computers.
Good.
That when Google Maps first came out, you would be Googling stuff, that you knew, like you'd be looking for school or you'd be looking for where you work or your house and zooming in on it, like, yeah, that's it. Or no, that was it like a year ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, remember, this was before it was even released to the public when I first seen it.
Yeah, that had to be an incredible feeling.
Yes.
So where did you go to school? And
I
what
went to,
and what did you study?
the first year I went to school, I mean, the first school I went to was the new University of Milwaukee, UWM. And I studied computer science there, and that's where I met the guy when I was talking about computers. That's where I met him. And then I transferred to Jackson State University, which was in Mississippi, and I did my rest of my undergrad there and my master's there, and then I went to University of Phoenix for my doctoral. So it ended up being totality 11 years of college.
Wow.
Nice.
What about the kids that you're teaching? Can you talk more about that?
Okay, yes, the kids that I'm teaching, it's usually, I guess you could say, low income. I put it that low income students. And what I wanted to do is, I noticed also through my research in the beginning that there was one other institution here in Georgia that had this type of technology, but it was at collegiate level. And like I mentioned before, that's too late for me. That's my opinion. It's too late. You know how fast technology changes. It's too late. And what I end up doing is I recognize that a lot of these different schools did not have this type of technology because of the cost, because of the cost factor. So I purchased the robots myself to take away the cost factor for them. So now I get an opportunity to expose these different children in the different districts to this type of technology by taking it from school to school, being mobile, so to speak.
Okay, where have you taken this robot?
I've taken this robot, you can say basically all over Georgia. I done been to Alabama. I done been to California. It's so many different places. And then if I mention online, I do online courses also. I done been to Uganda, Tanzania, however you pronounce that. I know it's not to the T. And and I've been pretty much, you can say international far as traveling, I mean, far as exposing children to what I do.
How
So
do
I
people actually sign up for your classes? Like, how do you find where you're going to go next? Do people sign up with you, or do you
Yeah,
find?
they signed up through my website. I have a website that's called realitytext with an S.org because I am a 501c3, and they usually contact me through there and they pick out the format that they want. If it's in person, or it's online or whatever, that's how it's all selected, I guess you can say.
So, how many students can you accommodate on, like, at a time on a single robot? If you have like a bunch, do you do more than one class,
No,
or?
yes, I do more than one class, but I like to keep it to a minimum. I like to keep it to a minimum of, say, probably 12 to 15 kids, because I want to give them the individual attention that they may need to, to grasp all the different concept of, robotics. So, because I believe the only prerequisite you need is to know how to read. That's, that's me.
I
Okay.
agree wholeheartedly. I have
Yeah.
never taught humanoid robotics, but I have taught like industrial robotics, and
Hmm.
I don't, I think all you need, like your only prerequisite really is to be willing to follow safety precautions, like to
Yes.
be able to think about what's going to happen next with a robot, and then you can be shown, I
Yes.
think, it. And
Yes.
that not necessarily always appropriate to bring young children, in front of industrial robots, but I have been able to bring it in front of like middle school age kids, and
Hmm.
I think that group is the most receptive to like new advancements in STEM or robotics. They'll think of things to do with it that we haven't thought of, and that's mind blowing to me. Have you had any experiences like that where you put it in front of a group of students and they just blew your mind at what they thought to make the robot do?
Oh yes, I have them all the time. I welcome that. I welcome all the different, things that you think it might can do, or you wonder if it can do. We explore all those different avenues. But yeah, going back to what you said, the reason I like to expose them early is because I like to plant the seed. I'm not saying that elementary students will be able to, you know, perform different tasks or whatever on the robot, because usually when I have that type of age group, I usually have the robots roped off, but so they can't be touched in a sense. But I still let them know, okay, I seen this, I seen it operate, I seen how the code is written. You understand what I mean? That seed is planted.
Yeah.
I don't care what age they are. If you show it to them, they'll see. And then I talk to them about, okay, where, okay, we just seen the robot dance. How did it dance? This is how I
Yeah.
made it dance, and go from there.
So what type, aside from dancing, like what type of things do you have different age group students do with the robot?
It depends on the school's theme. It depends on what they want to accomplish. The robot can do anything. The robot can do anything, and when I say anything, I don't, we can take away anything that has to do with gravity, of course. It won't be able to do a backflip or anything like that. But it speaks 32 different languages. It can I can make it correspond. I have a app that I been using that I can correspond with Chat GTP, so I can have a full conversation with the robot, just like I'm having a conversation with you right now. So that's that's one of the newer features that's been introduced to robotics. And the beautiful thing about robotics that I love is when they create something for one robot, it's actually for all robots.
I
That's
hate to
the
say a rising tide floats all boats because I always
bit-
used to think that was a really cheesy saying, but like in certain avenues of technology, especially robotics, like when one company makes an advancement, a lot of companies will end up benefiting from
yes,
whatever that advancement is. But
yes.
I enjoy seeing that as well, just in technology in general, because even when companies compete, you still want together for the technology to win overall.
Yes, because even though, and I mentioned this to my colleagues a lot, that, even though another entity might create something, they can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
So they can't be everywhere. I can't be everywhere. So why not share the knowledge? Why not?
That's the abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, the scarcity mindset is where people think, like, I invented this and I'm entitled to all the benefits of it. But really, when other companies benefit from it as well and they sell it and they promote it, then your business in your region where you want it to grow is also growing. So,
Yes. And I kind of debunk that. I debunk that theory right away when people say, "Well, I invented this." I said, "Well, mostly all the features and mostly all the components that's inside a robot, no matter what it is, a service robot, industrial robot, or a humanoid robot, it's all taken from the human body. So who really invented this?" And I just leave it alone.
yeah.
So we're just copying what we're made out of. So it's
I have
funny to
actually
me.
always wondered about that, and I'm curious what your take on this is because there is a lot of discussion in humanoid robotics right now about general robotics versus purpose-built robotics. And
Mhm.
if we want to do something efficiently, our human bodies are not necessarily the most efficient thing to do a task. Like there's other machinery that doesn't look like a human body that can sometimes do the task, but then it's a purpose built machine versus a machine that's shaped like a human that can do many things, but maybe not quite as well as a human. So I'm curious where you stand on the a generalized human doing a task versus a purpose built machine doing a task.
Well, I pretty much like I guess you can say the generalized purpose, because this is just me, it might be a bias or anything, but I like buying technologies that I can program, that I can use my imagination. If it uses Python, so to speak, I can use Python to make it do certain tasks. I really don't want to spend money on just something that's just really just focused on moving a box from point A to point B. That's not enough for me. I don't know. So it's dependent on the
No, do you like
industry.
the ability to
That's
customize?
what you need. That's what you need. Because I've taken students to Kia, and they got an opportunity to see industrial robots move one pallet, from one side of the warehouse to another and to a designated spot. So I understand the need. If that's what you need it for, that's what you need it for.
Oh, and I like your take on it, being customizable. It's kind of
Yes.
I always end up I like robots, but also PLCs, right? Like you buy a PLC and it doesn't have programming on it, you can make it do whatever you want to do
Yes.
when you write the program and add hardware to it as needed. But yeah, the ability to customize a solution is huge.
Yes.
I enjoy that. I've seen both sides of the arguments, and I
Yes.
don't actually I agree with one or the other because I'll change my mind like every time I have a conversation.
And like you had mentioned before, um, we're able to now take if someone else invents something, we won't be able to implement that in the robot that only does one thing, so to speak. So that's why
Yeah.
I love it, because we know technology is growing. We know someone is out there right now trying to make humanoid robots do a different task. So when that task comes out, I want to be able to send it to the CPU of this robot and have it done.
If a product plugs into one robot, it shouldn't just be made for that one robot.
It it
Like when
it
if
depends.
robots have a
It,
camera, it should be able to plug into every robot and give it vision.
it depends on what you're using it for. To me, that's what you're using it for. I use it for educational purposes. So we know when you enter in a classroom, the student might ask anything. So
Mhm.
if the robot can only move a box from A to B, that kind of limits you know, the experience I want to give the student.
Yeah, the education side of it's different, I
Yeah.
think, than the industry side. We want to mimic industry, but also once you get to industry, all the fun, not the fun is gone. I don't want to put it that way. But like
Mhm.
now it's time to do work,
Yeah.
versus education where you have time to actually ask questions and, what else can this do? And I still find myself doing that in industry too. Like I have a job to do and I need to make it move. Like you said, I need to make it move the pallet from the side of the conveyor to that side of the conveyor. But what else could it do while
Yes.
I'm at that's
Yeah.
education is a great time for that to actually be happening.
Yes.
I
So that
also read in your description that you
Go ahead.
use the NAO robots as well,
Yes,
or
I do.
how I've seen that that's like I prior to where I'm at now, I actually worked for United Robotics Group. And they were doing RoboCup with
Okay,
those.
yes. I'm familiar with that. Soccer.
Yeah, where they make them play soccer. So
Yeah.
have you participated in that at any level, or do you have the kids program them to play soccer? And if not, like what do they do?
No, I usually teach them I wouldn't say just the fundamentals. I teach them how to program it. I teach them how to write Python to make it do different activities. And we do different exercises at the end of the course to see what their imagination came up with, to see what they tried to do. Normally, we'll do all of this. We'll do all this on choreography first, right? The virtual, the virtual atmosphere. We'll do that first and see if it works, and then we just go on from there. But it's not really locked into one particular pass. I might have one school call me and say, "Okay, well, we're having a Spanish theme. We're having a Spanish theme." So I will get the robot to conduct the demonstration all in Spanish. Are you understanding me? So it depends on what the theme is. That's why I love to be able to do the plug-in, like you mentioned. Have you guys, I don't know how far you dug, but I've actually written a book about what do collegiate students know, ninth graders coming into college, are they really technologically savvy? And through my research, Unfortunately, it's been a no
That's too bad.
because
Do
we
you think that's because they don't really learn to use the technology, that they're just busy doom scrolling on it, or they don't
yeah,
understand what's going on behind it,
but
or what do you really think that?
because we assume that they really know how to navigate because we see our children playing on the computer for 5 or 6 hours straight. So we automatically assume that they know what to do with the computer. And like I said, through my research, and all the people that I interviewed were professors. So I really, I got it from, I wanted to get it from the horse's mouth. He said no. They said no. They're not prepared.
Can you do like a 5-minute introduction to Pepper? I'm not familiar with Pepper.
Oh, Pepper is what they call a social robot. A social robot. Pepper was invented to, I guess you could say, interact with human beings on a social level. But like I mentioned, there's so many different plugins that you can do to make her do certain things. It's so vast. It's so vast. It can do basically anything. It can dance and sing and talk and walk, and you can have full conversation with it. It's just it's to be honest with you, it's about your imagination. And I really thought, you guys, I really thought this would that statement was a sales pitch when I first went to buy the robot. Because the sales guy was like, well, the robot can do anything. The only thing is limited is your imagination. So I'm thinking this is a sales pitch. I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah. So and more I got involved with the robot, I started to understand that the statement that he made was not untrue at all. This thing could do anything. It can do anything. Like I said, far as just think of it like this. You have the CPU at your home or whatever, computer, right? You have that computer. You know that computer can do multiple things. And just think of it at a layman's, I guess you could say, perspective. That robot is just a computer. So whatever my home desktop can do, I can do it on that robot. So if I can make my desktop record, I can make him record. If I can make my desktop take pictures, I can make him take pictures. Are you understand? It's just so many different things you can do. It's we're probably to be able to name them all. It'll probably be the whole episode to name them all. It's
So,
I
are Pepper's hands
Yeah.
functional to like pick up and move objects, or are they more just for like gesturing, or can like Pepper hold a pen, and write?
It's more like a gesture, but I probably can do a pin because of the payload. That's the only reason, because of the payload. Now, we know we have others. I'm not going to give them a shout out or anything. We have others that's coming out with a stronger, I guess you could say, a stronger textile for the fingers, and they have an arm that you can take off and replace when you want to do something a little more heavier, but it's not really designed to grip certain things. You know what I mean? It's not.
It's not a warehouse worker or like moving
No,
boxes.
it's not. No, the fingers are very delicate. It's almost like you said, like a gesture.
More for a gesture,
Gesture
yeah.
type. Yes.
One thing I've considered when I saw Pepper, and I've seen a few others now on social media kind of going over this idea that as generations retire and we require more elder care, we don't have enough humans to do this elder care, and it's like a bigger problem in places like Japan than it is in the U.S. But it's going to be a problem in the U.S. too. So social robots like this performing the elder care is an interesting topic I've seen come up, because they can at least carry on a conversation with
Yes.
somebody, or while they may not be able to, pick you up out of bed and support your weight, they can kind of guide you, around your house and things like that. I'm curious what types of tasks, or if you see that even as a feasibility, and if it is, what kind of things you think elder care could benefit from with regards to a social robot.
Yeah, like say for instance, just say for instance, if we're at a facility and we have a pepper or something like that, I'm pretty sure it's the robot can be, to um go over. You'll probably have to have it prearranged, just to be candid. I'm talking about the medicine on a table or something, and you tell the robot, "Oh, go and get this, go get this medicine bottle for me." And it goes and get the bottle or whatever, or you can implement what blue is right now. Right now we have it programmed. It recognizes red. It recognizes red. So if I had a red pill bottle, I say go get my pill bottle, the red pill bottle, and it goes get the pill bottle and brings it back to me. So it's like I said, it's all depending on your imagination and far as gripping, it's just a payload. It's just a payload that the hand can do. If you know you're going to have it lifting something heavy, you're probably going to need something a little more powerful than pepper.
Does it have machine vision? So it looks like it has eyeballs, so it can see,
Oh
right?
yes, it has cameras. It has cameras and lasers. It can see. It can navigate. You can set it for obstacle avoidance, so it won't bump. It won't bump into certain things. It's all depends. I make a little I make a comment in class when I'm teaching, to see what they've been exposed to. And I ask them if they ever seen the robots in the restaurant. How does the robot in a restaurant bring you your tray of food? How does it bring you your tray of food? It's using that same thing that you're talking about. It's using the eyes, the cameras, and the sensors. And it's also been mapped out before. I guess you could say with a little bit of math. This is walk 1 meter, turn right, another meter or whatever, and it comes to your table. So it's all pre-designed before it even before you even come there.
Yeah, I'm familiar with uh, a couple of brands that use lidar more or less to
Yes.
localize themselves within, like you said, a pre-existing map. Like you map the restaurant when it's empty, and it knows
Hmm.
where all the tables are, and then when people are in it, you hope that it can still see all the tables the same. I think restaurants are difficult because they're so dynamic. You can map it when there's nobody in the restaurant, but then when it's full of people, to the robot, it's going to look different. Does can Pepper can you like draw a map for Pepper and have Pepper know where she is in that map? If that makes sense?
Mm. So like a locator or something.
Something
I
like that.
believe.
Yeah, like if she has a predetermined room and it's like you gave her a map of this room already and said the computer's over there, the TV's over there, my pillows are on this table over here.
Yes,
Does she
I've done that
know that or
before.
is it like
I've done something similar to that. I've done something. I was at I guess you could say a museum. I was at a museum and I had a program to, if they ask where, just say for instance, I use, where's the classic car exhibit? I, well, they'll tell you. I have their program to tell you exactly where it's at and then to ask you if you want to follow me, if you want to follow me to that destination. And we'll go, say 100 meters, turn left, go through the double doors, and you're there. So basically like that. So yes, it can be done.
very cool? So is that the
Yeah.
kind of concept that basically the kids start learning with these robots is not necessarily go put this over there, but this is how you raise your leg to take a step forward. And then
Yes.
you do it with the other leg. And now you could do a loop. Do that 5 times until you've
Yes.
taken 5 steps.
Yes. That's exactly that's exactly how I teach them. I want them to know the inner working. I want them to know the behind the scenes. I'm a big I'm a big advocate on making sure that people are producers, not just users. That to
That's
me,
awesome.
that's a very big thing for me. I want to make sure that they have the capability to be able to develop it. And like I tell children, even if you're not going to become a computer scientist or a developer, you still want to put yourself in the position where you still know how these things are, how they are activating, how they are moving, how everything, the inner workings, because our societies is thinking of putting these robots, their goal is to put a humanoid robot in every household in America, just like they did a TV, just like they did the computer. So if that statement is true, you want to know, you want to have the background knowledge of this stuff. You don't want, I make a joke. I say, you don't want a technician to come to your house and fix your computer, and the only thing was wrong with it was a loose wire, and he takes it apart and said, "Oh, it was this, and this, and that'd be $5,000 for your ticket." And if you don't know, you don't know. He only hooked the wire back up. So that's right. That's why it's important to me, because as we were coming up, when we were in school or whatever, before it was taken away, we knew what auto mechanics was. We knew what a little bit about cars or what the inside of cars was and wood shop and all that. So we knew what a hammer and nails and all that stuff is. And I'm just pretty much preparing them for that also, but through technology, through digital
It's
technology.
funny that you brought up automotive because that is actually exactly the industry I was thinking. But like when you were saying you want to put one of everything in a house, people wanted to, everybody to have a car.
Yes.
Before you can put a car in every home, the infrastructure needs to exist, one, to fuel the cars, and two, to repair the cars when they break
Yes.
down. So if you suddenly release cars, to the world,
Yes.
and nobody knows how to fix a car, then we can see that happening now with like cars changing and mechanics like basically plug a computer into the car now.
Yes.
And we don't necessarily know how to like work on the older cars, but I've thought about that a lot with robotics, where we're going to unleash the theory of a bazillion robots into the world with like 10 people that know how to fix them.
Yes.
So like once these robots start breaking down in 10 years, we're going to have another crisis. Like right now we have a crisis of not enough people knowing how to weld. And we're going to have another crisis of not enough people know how to fix the broken robots. They know how to deploy the new robots, but nobody knows how to fix the broken ones. So I
Yes,
think
that's what my
next.
mindset is, because I want them to know the inside, the inner workings. I want them to know the inner workings, so they won't be, if they want to take that route to be a person who designs it or fix it, they can be that person, because they really know the inner workings. Like I said, it's a beautiful thing. I love it because
Well, you're
I'm
getting them
biased
to
by
print
it too.
robots like what we used to do with auto shop.
Yes.
It's like it should be another like high school class. Like here's your inside a robot course. It might be an
Okay.
old car when you did auto, and it might be or your car, or it might be an old robot, but at least it's kind of like you said, they're all kind of similarly designed. You're going to find a servo motor in there somewhere, right? And like if you
Yes.
understand how that works, and
Yes.
yeah.
So, as we know, what is going to be a benefit to us, I believe, it's going to be a benefit to us is because Japan have implemented AI into their core curriculum. So, I think we're going to have to follow suit. We're going to have to follow suit if we want to keep up, if we want to be just put it that way. If we want to be competitive, or I don't know what we're out there to take, but if we don't want to be competitive, we know what's going to happen. Then people from Japan will be fixing your items. So it's up, it's up to you how you want this to unfold. But I don't. I want it to be. I want someone to be locally. I don't want it to have to be outsourced or anything like that. That's that's why it's a big push for me to make them, you know, have them know about it. At least plant the seed, like I said.
But it will be your students that will fix them, right?
Of course.
What did you say is the language for programming, Pepper? Did you say Python?
Yes, I use Python on mines because it's I teach Python. So it was to me, it was a no-brainer. So, but it also, for the robot industry, it's usually C++ or C or Python. It depends. Java. It depends on what platform you want to do it on. But it pretty much the SDK pretty much takes any language.
I agree with you on that. C++ and Python, I
Yeah.
think, are the most common two languages I see out there. Like when you're not using the robot's native language, where they all have like their own custom
Yeah.
programming. If you do like an SDK, like you said, and you're talking to it under the hood, it's usually I've seen C++ more lately than Python. But Python is like I'm a hardware engineer, but I can read and understand Python, and I can
Mhm.
kind of write changes and stuff to Python. So I find Python like very easy to
Yes.
write and understand in
Yeah.
robotics.
And that's one of the reasons I chose it also is because the age range that I'm targeting, the 9 to 17, and the ease of usability of Python, I figure it's pretty easy, if you really study it.
And then I've heard it's going to get a little bit faster because the reasons I hear people going towards C++ is Python's a little slower, but I have been hearing about changes that are coming to Python where it might be a little bit faster. But admittedly, I'm on the software side. I feel like that's the weakest, like my
Yeah,
weakest.
yeah, because fast, their definition of fast or faster, what, a millisecond? Okay. I'm not that impatient. Though I said, well, Python did it in 4 seconds, and no, C++ did it in five. Okay, I mean vice versa. Python did it in five, and C++ did it in four. I'm not that anal.
Yeah.
No.
No, in education, I think Python really is the only correct answer. In
Yeah,
industry, sometimes we run into like the higher speed applications or like the time of
yeah, because they
execution
want. Yeah,
tends to matter, like down to the microseconds. But like outside of that, like you said, if you're doing education and you're programming a humanoid robot, you're not going to see the difference in how fast this humanoid robot's moving.
yeah,
Or
because they
responding.
just, I guess from an industry standpoint, they just want to, you know, more and more products. That 1 second adds up through a totality of a day. So I understand that. So
Or if you're just trying to control a lot of axes and have a certain outcome, sometimes that timing matters. But
Mhm.
I think with regard to showing, the age group that you're showing, just like you said, planting the seed. This is a robot. It's not a scary thing.
Yeah,
Respect it, obviously, but it doesn't have to be like a scary thing.
yes,
I've always taken that approach to a lot of things. There's stuff that can be perceived as scary, but you just need to understand it and respect it. And robots are one of those things that I think a lot of people, if they don't understand it, it's a scary thing.
Mhm.
And if you're learning at a young age, like, 9, 10, 11 years old, like, oh, that's a robot. I've seen that before. And then you get into high school, college after, and, you see inside the cabinet and it's a foreign thing. The first time you open a cabinet, just all wires everywhere. Oh my God, what is this? And then you keep seeing things again and again, even before you're the one that touches it. And you're like, oh, I've seen that before. That looks kind of familiar. And familiarity makes things really less scary. So I think
yeah,
what you're is super important for this age group because just the exposure alone, even if they're not experts, just the exposure alone is super important.
yes. That's been part of what I've done too, because I've been at a few events, and I had students that approached Pepper or approached NAO, and they were terrified.
Mhm.
And usually, what I do is because I know that the majority of, just to be candid, the majority of their, I guess you say their perspective come from adults. And so I kind of debunk that. And okay, touch the robot. This is only plastic and wires, right? This is only plastic and wires. It's just like your computer at home, but it's just a different shape. Come on up here. Come up. And I've called several of them up on the stage too, if they were really petrified to get rid of that, to get rid of, I guess you would say, whatever that fear factor is, because I didn't want them to be honest with you, I didn't want them to be petrified of something and close themselves out to the opportunity to be involved in the robotic industry, so because they were scared.
I'm personally scared of Spot, the robot. Are you familiar with Spot?
Yeah, you talking about the dog robot?
Yes.
Yeah,
I've seen it walk up and down escalators and just stop and then just because it has, I don't know, 40 something cameras. How
yeah.
many sensors does Pepper have?
Pepper has probably about 9 sensors and about 6 cameras. So it's pretty, about you got the 2 sensors in the eyes, right? You have one in the head, and you have 2 at the bottom, in case she runs to something at floor level or whatever, and you have it in the back also. So
Okay.
pretty cool.
What about charging? How long does her battery last?
Her,
And
ba-
how
her
long does
battery
it take?
lasts for 8 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for 8 hours.
How
Right?
long to charge?
About 2 hours, about an hour, two. But I usually don't. I really don't let it. I guess you could say die
Drain.
all the way down. I never let it do that. I always keep it charged. If I'm using it, I leave it until it reaches full capacity before I store it back.
Does it have a removable battery? How big is that battery?
Well, the battery is It's pretty small. It's pretty small. It's about the size of a. Let's say It's about the size of a cell phone. It's about this size.
Okay.
About the size of a cell phone, and you have one cord running through one end and adapter running through the other, and that's about it. But it's not. You have 2 versions. You have one that is a stationary charger, so you can go to the charger itself and roll up on the charger and charge yourself, or you can plug it in with the cheaper version if you want to say cheap. The cheaper version that you plug in. I laugh about it because the cheaper version is still $400. So,
Oh, that's funny.
so and I like that one because it's, like I said, I'm mobile. So I do everything, on the move. So it helps to have something smaller.
There's like mobile robots because she's kind of a mobile robot. But like you're saying, when you have a manual charge versus a dock, I'm always impressed. Like we as humans know, like, oh, I'm really tired. I need to go rest. So
Yeah.
whenever I watch a robot, just like, I need to go dock myself now, I always think of like that's the closest human emotion the robot's ever gonna have. It's like, oh, I need to go now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need
But it's
my battery
usually,
over.
and believe it or not, it tells you, my battery level is pretty low. You may want to charge me up. So when it reaches that level, it's programmed to already tell you, that, give you a heads up. Okay, my battery's about to die. So, and then the now, it also has the same choice. You can you can have the docking station, or you can have the plug-in, like I showed you about the size of the cell phone. But the docking station for now is built like a chair. So she actually goes sit down in the chair
Uh,
and charges like that. It's pretty cool.
so see, these robots are even teaching us mental health lessons at this point because we all need to learn to just go up to the closest adults
Oh
and
yeah,
say,
oh yeah.
I need to charge my battery and I'm gonna go sit down right now.
Like I said, it can be programmed to do anything. We can if we have a mental health theme, we can do that. You understand what I mean? You can do this certain things, or if you have a mental health exercise, you can program Pepper to do that exercise and ask the people to follow. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, or just a demonstration. Be like, can I set Pepper to just like ignore that? Be like, work until you die. And then do that as a demonstration. Like, look, what happens? You just died right there in the middle of what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Stop and take a break when you're supposed to.
hmm So it's all about the imagination, really. It really is. It's all about the imagination. That is the limit. It's the limit on it. When I meet people and they say, I met a guy probably about, I'm rambling a little bit. I met a guy about 2 weeks ago, and he said, "Oh, that robot, it only dances and talk and whatever." I said, "Sir, I don't mean any disrespect, but the robot is a reflection of your imagination." And he just looked at me and he said, "If it doesn't do this, it means I guess your imagination don't go to that level." So, I'm just, don't say that because it can do most anything. Doesn't involve graphic.
It doesn't have to do a backflip.
Yes.
If people want to find out more about your not-for-profit, where's the best place for them to find out more information about this? Like, do you have a full website?
Yes, I have a full website, which is realitytext.org. It's actually plugged in. You can do realitytext.org or realitytext.com. It doesn't matter.
And
So
that's
it
also
take
where
you.
people can sign up for classes and
Oh yeah, it has all the different choices that you may want to do. If you want to do it online, it has the choices for that. If you want me to come to your school and do a class for 12 weeks or whatever your may be, it's that form is there also. So I think I pretty much have everything covered as far as anyone's need.
so out of curiosity, what all does that entail? Because I didn't realize you had like multi-week long classes.
Oh yeah.
So like a everything from a short 1 day class to a
Yes.
12-week class. Awesome.
Yes. Say for instance, if we did the 1 day class like you mentioned, that would probably just be a demonstration or something like that. Go through the formalities of, what it has sensors, it does this, it does this, it does this. Okay, now if you want to learn how to do this on your own, okay, here's a 12 week. Here's a 12 week or a 12 session, however you want to put it. And what we go through the inner workings. We actually write the code. We actually see the robot do the different tasks, and we learn everything behind the scenes of what it does. What is facial recognition, what is obstacle avoidance, all those different things.
So when
So
you
you
do an online course, is it primarily like write this Python code and then see what it does in simulation?
No, it's the same if I will be in person. The only thing it's going to be is online is going to be live. It's going to be live and what I do, I give you access to my license of Choregraphe. So you have it virtually. You have a virtual robot that looks exactly like the Pepper that I have here. So you'll be able to, manipulate that with code and we'll learn the same thing I would teach them in the 12-week program, I would teach you online the same way. But yeah, that's what we end up doing. And what I want to um, emphasize, I guess, emphasize is that when I do give you the access for Choregraph E, you have the access to that software for life. Not just for
Oh,
the 12 weeks. So it'll be on your computer or until I pass away. So I guess to my lifetime until I pass away and then the license goes away or whatever. But they won't know the license goes away. That's another different ethical thing. But they won't know I'm gone because I'm not going to tell them. So, but yeah. So yeah. So that's pretty cool because I know a lot of parents get discouraged because they might say, "Oh, that's an expensive robot," and I just want them to know that he or she will still have the robot. It'll just be virtual.
and
Mhm.
so earlier you were saying that lower income communities or underserved communities like are your target audience. Is
Yeah, yeah. To
is that
begin with, but to begin with, and to be honest with you, to be really candid about it, is I've I guess you could say, as far as programming, the coding, and the robotics, I've served over probably about over 2,000 students. And
Wow.
unfortunately, only about 200 of them has been underserved, low income students. And I don't know why. That's why I start to stress that you will have this robot even in a virtual environment, because I didn't want the parent to assume as soon as they see this robot, they say, oh, that's out of my range. I can't get that thing. You understand what I mean? So
Yeah.
you don't have to purchase it. So that's why I want to put emphasis on that. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's what I'm doing now. I'm trying to reach out now. I'm starting my summer camps back now here in the Georgia area. I'm starting my summer camps back now. So hopefully they get an opportunity to um to participate, because I really, I really want them to be able to access this type of technology, because it's here. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to get stronger and better. And I want them to be in a position to be able to be able to take advantage of what's going on. Like we know, if I'm teaching 9 to 17, 10 years from now, my starting students will be 19 years old, and they'll be ready to work. And I want them to be able to, when they go into the industry, I don't want them, I don't want the robot technology to be foreign to them. I want them to know, okay, this is, oh, I seen, like you mentioned before, Courtney, I seen this before. Let's go.
Oh, this
So,
brand?
yeah. So they'll just breeze through your 60-day training or whatever. They just breeze through it instead of, you know, it's being really a task, like going back to school type training.
So who is your ideal customer for, or not, I don't want to say customer, but like who is your ideal student, I guess, for summer, and what other ways, like besides the website, are good to reach you?
Well, the website has basically all of my information. It has my office phone number, my cell number, my email. So there's so many different ways if they want to reach me. It's really, I guess you could say, I'm really open. I just put it that way. I have all the social media links at the bottom. So if you're looking for me, I shouldn't be hard to find. And my target audience it's anyone who really, really they don't, I want them to have an interest in computer, at least a little spark. And I work it from there. Even, even if you want to be a doctor, and you don't think it correlates with what you're going to do, I'm gonna show you how it does. And like I said, I'm the type of person, I don't, this is kind of like a personal bias. I don't like to be left out the loop. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that type of person, if you're going to be a doctor and you know that they have robotics doing surgery now, I would hope you would want to know something about those robots, because
Yes,
it's
sir.
just part of your field. It's not primarily your prioritizing, I guess, part that you'll prioritize, but it's part of your field. And I'm hoping you would want to know about it. That's all.
Agreed. Well, I really I enjoyed this conversation a lot. Thank you so much for your time, because this I'm kind of the robot nut, I think, out of everybody, and just talking about all the different things robots could do or that you could show them to do for kids has been a great conversation. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Automation Ladies. If you like our content and you want to stay in touch, please connect with us on LinkedIn, follow the show page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can send us a message or a coffee on our website, automationladies.io. We look forward to getting to know you. Our producer is Veronica Espinoza, and our music is composed by Samuel James.